What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market, why the market is still selling off right now. So we have more news coming out, and why we're at a very, very important level right here, which could be where SPY either bounces or continues to dump based off the levels we're seeing. So we're going to see a very, very big test. I'm going to go over the levels in just a few minutes. Just know that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below or use my QR code right here to sign up. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvidia stock. If you deposit $2,000, you're going to get $50 worth of Nvidia. Deposits $10,000 to get $300 worth of the stock, or deposits $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for a 3.6% APY base rate plus a 4.5% APY extra for 3 months, making it a total of an 8.1% APY. The offer ends very, very soon, so check out my link down below. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with the market. So looking at SPY, we're in a range right here. The market is actually continuing to dump. I was hoping that we would get some kind of bounce near like the 670 area first. That is what typically happens as we were testing this big support, but instead we are continuing to gap down and reject on SPY. The first thing you'll see is that we have this white trend line. We bounced, and bounced many times. So this is going to be a big support. And to know if we're going to bounce off this white trend line or reject, it depends on our levels. If SPY fails at 663, okay, if that fails us, we're going to be more bearish. And then we could be looking for this low around 661 to be retested. If we take that out, then my next target is going to be 655. Which is right around here. That's where we have these like wicks that formed. So if we lose 663, this low from last Friday at 661 will be tested. And if that fails, let's expect a big rug pull to the 655 area. Okay. So watch that level very closely. But if we bounce, right, when you zoom out of SPY, notice we have this white trend line. We bounced, and bounced. If we bounce here, if we want to see a big recovery, we need to get back above 668, I believe. So if we get back above 668, then SPY could be looking for 672 to fill this gap, and it could be looking for a nice bounce. All right, so we're going to see if we dump or if we get a nice rebound. We're going to be watching our levels very closely. Do we break 668 to turn more bullish, or do we end up losing 663 to see this low being retested before we continue to dump? Watch your levels just to be safe. So what's going on with the news? Well, I just wanted to say that the market was selling off quite a bit because of economic policy concerns. We had the White House announcing that much of the inflationary data alongside the jobs data may not be even coming out, as lots of the data was not collected. And due to the lack of data, there is once again a decreased probability that we're going to get a cut in December. Before, there was a 94% chance of a 25 basis point cut for December. Now it has gone down to about 50%. It's currently at 53%. That's a sign that the Fed is less certain. On top of this, there are some economic warnings that are coming out. So there's a warning that data is suggesting that the foreclosure starts in October jumped 20% compared to a year ago. There's an uptick right now that the housing market has been very, very tight. And just keep that in mind. That could be a warning sign for the economy. On top of this, we had news coming out from the Federal Reserve that there are worries about inflation and signs of relative stability in the labor markets, and that this could de-incentivize the Fed to give us some kind of cut. We even heard Mary Daly from the Fed say this. It kind of like underscores the cut, but at the same time, it depends on the data, and the Fed has to see what the data will tell us. There's not really that much data coming out so far, which is why there's so much uncertainty. For example, we had Susan Collins from the Fed come out. She mentioned that absent evidence of a notable labor market deterioration, I would be hesitant to ease policy further, especially given the limited information on inflation due to the government shutdown. So that is some news that's very, very important. With limited data, the Fed is not as certain about a cut, and the market is dumping quite a bit. But we're going to see if the market is kind of like pricing this in or not. Bitcoin has been down about 10% since I think the last Federal Reserve cut. So we're going to see if that also forms a bottom or not. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the fear and greed index. We're at extreme fear right now. We're going to see if this helps the market bounce or not. Fear is making up the majority of momentum. The put to call option ratio is at extreme fear, and the VIX is also at fear. So keep that in mind. That is what we are seeing so far. So what do I think SPY is doing? We're in a range. Okay, 668 is our resistance. 663 is our support. All right. If we break 668, we're looking for a bounce back up to 672. But if we lose this 663 area, we could be revisiting the lows over here. And then if this low breaks at 661, expect this to continue to crash towards 655. Also, my bigger view of this is that I'm not scared and I'm not worried about this, because even if SPY does dump to the 650s, it's going to be a huge buying opportunity, because I believe we're going to be back to all-time highs before the year ends. Just like how SPY went from 661 to 686 within a week, the market could bounce like crazy very, very fast for the end of November and December. It still could do it. Do not rule it out, because of the fact that the Fed could still be easing and other factors like that. So I'm a little bit indecisive now, because we've already dumped so much. Are we about to get some kind of bounce, or do we continue to get the rug pull? I would say watch your levels. If 663 fails us, we could be dipping more, and we could be making new lows. So watch 663, 661, and 655 as our bearish targets. But to be bullish, you want to get back above 668. If we reclaim that, we're looking for a big V-shaped move to fill the gap to 672 or above. So let's be patient. Let's be unbiased traders today, and we'll see if the market dumps more or not. Same thing with the QQQ. We're at support right now on the triple Q. We're actually losing this trend line acting as support. We lost a big support, which is not the best of signs. So we're testing this support right here. Get back above 603, then I think we could be looking for 608s to fill the gap. But if we fail at 598-ish, around that area, there is a risk of us dipping to the lower 590s, especially back down towards 590 flat. Hopefully we could reclaim 603 to see a rebound. If we don't, we're not going to be looking too good. We're barely holding support right now, so we got to bounce right here on the QQQ. We need to get back above 603. If we don't, this will start dipping to the mid to low 590s. I'm in the middle. I think we could go either way, so let's wait for open. We're really indecisive. We've dumped quite a bit already, but we're going to see if we bounce or not. On the IWM, we got a big rejection. We need to get back above 236 to rebound. If we don't, we're barely at this support. So see where this wick is. I know it's a little hard to see. Right over here, there's a wick which shows we had support at 233. If 233 fails on the IWM, there is a risk of us dipping towards 231 or below. But if we get back above 236, we could try to bounce. We're in the middle. This is showing some weakness, so be very careful. On ES, we're showing some weakness, but we're at support right here. The support's at 66.80. If this holds, we're looking for a bounce to 67.25 or above. But if we lose this, we could be dumping back down towards 66.50. Overall, we're going to see if we bounce here. If we do, we could be looking for 6,725, and we're going to see if we get that rebound. So give this the time it needs. On NQ, we're showing some weakness. We're barely near support right here at 24,700. If that fails us, we could be dumping towards 24,500 next. But if we get back above 24,800, we're looking for essentially 25,000. I think we're in the middle. NQ looks weak to me. It looks like it might continue to fall. So be careful, guys. Tech is showing some weakness. Bitcoin has tanked like a rock. We're looking at 95,000. We need to hold 95,000. If we don't, we could be dipping to 92,000. Tesla took a big hit. I think we have some negative news that came out with the recall, and also because of the Fed possibly not cutting. We're going to see if 380 holds. If it doesn't, we're going to be testing this resistance becoming supports over here. I know it's a little hard to see. It's near like 370. So 370 is next if 380 does not hold on Tesla. We need to get back above at least 390 to bounce. Otherwise, it's favoring major downside. Tesla looks very weak right now, creating a buying opportunity. Nvda is dumping. We're at support at 178. This needs to hold. If not, we could be dumping more. If we reclaim 183, we could be looking for a rebound, so keep that in mind. Apple's on a downtrend. We have support at 269. It needs to hold here, or else it could be dipping lower. It looks kind of weak to me. On Palantir, we're approaching support right here around the 162 area. If that fails us, we could be dipping to 158. But if we reclaim 165, we're looking for a bounce back up towards 170. This is looking like it wants to rebound for 168, but we'll see just to be safe, as the overall market can have an effect on this. Um, on AMD, we basically lost almost all the gains from the big bounce that came. We need to get back above at least 244 for there to be a bigger rebound. If not, we're going to be favoring a move back down to 235. So I see some weakness. Coinbase is looking kind of weak right here. We have resistance right here on 278, and we have support down here at 265. So we're going to be favoring this 265 area. On Amazon, we have support down here at 231, and we have resistance right here at 235. Amazon's favoring 231. We're going to see if we bounce near there. It might tip a little bit more, but 231 is where this could try to bounce near our 200 EMA. On Meta, we're technically on a downtrend. We could continue to fall like this, so it's still favoring the downwards direction. We basically have that 595 area, and we're going to see if we bounce off here or not, but it's still showing some weakness. Google is also showing some weakness right here around this like 268 area. And then Microsoft is also on a downtrend. We have 505 as our resistance and support down here at this 495 area. So I see weakness on the charts nonetheless. The VIX is trying to push higher, but we're going to see, guys. We're going to see if the VIX is forming an inverse head and shoulders, if it's about to break out. Is the market about to get a massive rug pull right now? Or are we about to bounce near support? So make sure you watch 668 on SPY. If we break that, we're bullish. But if we lose 663, we could be dipping back down to 660 flats and eventually back down to 655. On the QQQ, we have a double bottom here. We have 598 as our support. If that fails us, we could be dumping to 595 or below. But if we get back above 603, we're looking for a big rebound. We're stuck in the middle. But overall, there is weakness on the QQQ that's still developing. We're in the middle of the QQQ, so watch your levels and we'll see how the market does. There's a lot of panic right now because of the Federal Reserve. The odds of us getting a cut, it's basically going down. There's only like a 53% chance of it happening. Will we get better data later on that incentivizes the Fed to cut? We have limited time, so we'll see if that ends up being the case. Or will the Fed just skip on the cut? That's what we're kind of like waiting for. Let's be very patient. Let's watch our levels and be unbiased for now, and we'll see if the market gets some kind of bounce or not. So that being said, I thank you all for listening. Please have an awesome rest of your guys' days, and watch your levels very, very closely. This sell-off is kind of extreme, but we're going to see if we could hold some key support or not. Also, one more thing. Let me just say this. If the market does drop more, do not let the fear take you over. Just know that this is nothing more than a longer term buying opportunity for the months of December and January. It's going to be a very, very good buying opportunity. So keep that in mind. Be greedy when others are fearful. And I'll be back very soon with another update. Thank you for listening and peace out.